Alright, we're back with another lore theory video, this time about a boss character named Knight Loretta. She's fought two different times. You fight a shade of her at the Carrion Manor with all the fucking hands straight out of Legend of Zelda or straight out of Dark Souls 3, whichever one works for you. And then later again we encounter her in her actual corporeal form at the Halig Tree, guarding the entrance to the Halig Tree, the rest of it. Sort of acting as like a mini boss while you're on your way to go kill Malenia. Before we get into the theory, we gotta understand who Knight Loretta is as a character within Elden Ring's lore. So basically, she was a particularly skilled Carrion Knight, one of the enchanted ones loyal to the Carrion family, and she was a particularly powerful one as she had a unique set of armor and all that. But at some point, she decided to leave her service of the Carrions to find a true home where the Albinaurics could live peacefully. On this journey, she would make modifications to her signature spell, a great bow that now fired 3 bolts instead of 1. The journey was said to be particularly bloody, but she did in fact find them a home, which is apparently the consecrated snowfield. The next thing we need to understand is what Albinaurics are. Albinaurics are artificial beings, artificial human-like beings, at least the first generation ones are. They're made with some kind of silver. It's really unknown how exactly they're made outside of that they're born from silver. They might have been made by Rykard, they might have been made using silver tears from the Eternal Cities. It's really unknown at the moment right now. People think Rykard made the second gen ones just because some are imprisoned in his Volcano Manor. But if we take a look at some of their weapons, the ones that aren't using clubs or curved swords are using these really distinctly fashioned ripple halberds and ripple swords, which are said to resemble the ripples that gave the Albinaurics life. Now, with a little bit of artistic license or imagination, we could theorize then that the Albinaurics, at least the second gen ones, are born from some kind of silver pools. I mean, it's just a theory, but I definitely think it holds weight, and it seems to in their weapons, or at least these particular weapons. What we do know about them is that there's 2 different kinds. The first generation appear to resemble humans, sort of, but after a certain point they lose the ability to walk due to all the silver pooling down into their legs. And there's the second gen ones, which appear to resemble frogmen, but are increasingly agile. They're able to cartwheel at you and do all kinds of shit, jump around. They look very different though than the first gen ones. They both appear to bleed silver though, so that's consistent. But in short, the Albinaurics are effectively failed homunculuses of some kind, artificial life forms. Alright, so now on to the theory. If you hadn't guessed already, it's that Knight Loretta is an Albinauric, or at least she probably is. First off, she seems to be some kind of messianic figure to the Albinaurics, as she led them to the supposed promised lands of the consecrated snowfield. But we do see a considerable amount of them were left behind, and some of them have found themselves in a much fucking darker place, at least the second gen ones. We also never see her off of her mount, which could indicate that she doesn't have the ability to walk anymore. And there's also the fact that she fights mounted while using a bow, which is exactly how the mounted archers, the Albinauric ones, the first generation ones we see in the snowfield fight. I know there's a few that aren't mounted, but those ones can't walk either. Her armor description also quite literally paints her as a hero of the Albinaurics, but it doesn't directly indicate that she's an Albinauric. It should also be noted that she's about the exact same size as the big Albinauric woman that's at the apostate derelict in the snowfield, which could possibly be Loretta's daughter or sister or mother or some kind of relation. I mean, they're about the same size and both seemingly can't walk, and they're both in the same region of the map. And there's also her halberd or her sickle, which is made of, you guessed it, silver. At one point it housed a glintstone that she used to cast spells with and make it glow blue and use magical attacks on us, like when we fight her when she's a ghost. More importantly though is that it says that she replaced the glintstone with unalloyed gold, which to me at least indicates that she was forced to swear some kind of oath of loyalty to Malenia or Miquella or the Halig Tree itself in return for the Albinaurics being allowed to settle there, because as we know, the unalloyed gold is heavily associated with Malenia and Miquella. On a seemingly unrelated note that I feel is relevant, the ones loyal to Mohg appear to have gotten there when he showed up and stole Miquella from the Halig Tree and he left that portal behind. Likely some of the Albinaurics followed him, possibly due to the fact that their supposed promised land was a frozen fucking wasteland. I mean, who could blame them? But still, to throw in your lot with the Lord of Blood is a bit bit rough. I mean, shit, Mohg could have just ran into a group of them when he was leaving after cutting Michaela out of the Halig tree and just was like, hey, if you guys be loyal to me, I'll give you a swamp. Only he didn't mention it was a swamp of blood, and we see the effect that it's having on these guys down here. These red ones are quite literally artificial beings, silver-blooded artificial beings who now have been imbued with blood magic, and they're able to turn into a bunch of spikes and turn into basically a giant spike ball at you and all kinds of fucking bullshit. And you can find them listening to the sermons of the Sanguine Nobles, who have a pretty fucking cool sword. I do gotta give them that. But fighting those guys, not at a range, for me at least, is really annoying. But yeah, I just wanted to throw in my little theory of how those Albinaurics got down there into Mohg's domain. So yeah, this is another shorter video, but I tried to be brief. I tried not to ramble too long. If you liked the video, please like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. If you have any theories or if I got anything wrong, please share it in the comments. I always like that. And if you find these videos informative, please consider subscribing, because that would really help out my channel. And, have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.